Hello, Mr. Medella. I'm ready for my keynote now. I think this is how this works. Hello, everyone. It's Microsoft Ignite time again. How exciting. Okay, so it is the few hours before the Microsoft Ignite keynote starts properly, and the 3 days that is Microsoft Ignite this time around begins. So this is a slightly unusual place for us to be in. Another kind of mini Ignite. So normally, for a bit of context, Ignite is normally a week-long event that happens in the November timeframe. Obviously, this year and last year everything has all been very different. So last year Microsoft said, actually, for Ignite in November, we're going to cut it down to 3 days, because really after 3 days everybody's had enough of virtual conferences and streaming sessions and just information overload, whilst also trying to do the day job, because it's hard enough attending conferences as it is, let alone actually not being able to leave the office that is also your house. So virtual conferences are super stressful, and I think Microsoft get that, and I really like actually the way that they changed the format for a virtual world. And so what they said was, yeah, we're going to have a shorter format in November, and we're going to repeat it and have another short format in the spring. And this is what that is. This is like the part 2 of the Ignite 2020, or maybe it's the first one of 2021. I'm calling it the Microsoft Ignite Spring 2021, because I'm hoping there's going to be another Ignite later in 2021. And so at least this way it kind of keeps things consistent. So yeah, so what do we know? So the keynote is coming up soon, and that means Satya Nadella talking. It also means some stuff about mixed reality, hence the headset which I was wearing on the way in. And let's talk a little bit about that, because that's kind of interesting actually. So certainly for the last keynote that Satya did, it was just him talking. I don't remember there being any particular guests or anything like that. Often with the keynotes, the very long keynotes, the ones in person tend to go on a lot longer, and they do feature industry kind of individuals, so CEOs from other companies or something like that. The one in November I seem to remember as being quite short, similar to this one. I think it's only kind of maybe an hour long tops, maybe an hour and 15, and it'll probably have sort of segments in it as well with some kind of video reels and stuff like that. So yeah, much shorter, but interestingly this one, I think, so we definitely know there's going to be some mixed reality stuff in here. So Alex Kipman is going to be, he's kind of on the speaker list for the keynote alongside Satya. So we know he's going to be talking, and we know he's going to be joining Satya for the keynote. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Microsoft think mixed reality is going to play a part in all of our futures. I've got no real idea what that means, really. I guess we'll find out in a few hours' time. I don't know, we're spending a lot of time in Microsoft Teams meetings. I think 2021 is going to be an interesting year for where we work and how we work, because I think we'll see offices unlocking again as nations unlock again, and we're going to see people start to go back to work, but probably in a very different way to how they were before. I think that'll be quite interesting. So maybe Microsoft are thinking about that and thinking about how do we meet people there? How do we help people when it's a mixture of people in the office and people at home? So can I be at home but virtually join a board meeting that is taking place in the office where everybody's around a table? Can I do that in mixed reality, so I kind of feel like I'm more there and others in the room? Also, I think that's a critical part of this, by the way, as well. So I think it's quite easy to get forgotten about as a virtual attendee when you're the only person or you're the minority that are virtual. It's quite easy to get forgotten about in a roundtable conference situation. So all of that, I think, is up for debate. I think it'll be interesting to see. We've seen some concept stuff a few years ago, I think, around kind of Microsoft Teams and mixed reality. So it'll be interesting to see if any of that has kind of evolved and come to fruition. But yeah, we'll just have to see. I put a blog post together about the things that I think are interesting and the things that I'm looking out for, looking to see on this kind of day one event. Let me just share my screen real quick and we can go through them. So I've talked through the keynote. This one is interesting, the hybrid workplace. So interesting because, so Jared Spataro is marketing CVP for Microsoft 365. I think I've got that right. And so he's likely to be covering things across the whole Microsoft 365 modern workplace, that whole space. And that includes Microsoft Teams, includes the Teams development platform. So I think that will be kind of good to see what's happening. It's interesting, in the session abstract, Jared specifically calls out 2020 as the year that work moved to the cloud. I think that's really interesting when you think about where files and documents and meetings have all happened. So much has had to move to the cloud so quickly. I think it's easy for us who are already in that cloud journey, who are already there, who already store everything in SharePoint or in Teams, already on the cloud, to think actually that most people are not like that. There's lots of file servers and local machines and all stuff being burnt to CDs, and that still happens, like in many organizations. And then of course everybody gets sent home to work from home, and that massively changes. So everybody's had to change very quickly. So I think we'll see Microsoft talking about that, how they're helping businesses on that journey, how they're supporting more flexible working as well. So that's coming up a little bit later. That's at 5:45 GMT, or that's 9:45 PST AM. You can also watch all of these on demand as well, so you don't feel you have to hit the times that are in the session builder. You can click the Save to Backpack button, and then as soon as it's ready, it takes about a day normally to render the videos. They're really good at getting them done, but it takes about a day, and then you can watch them. Other things, so mixed reality, I talked about it on the keynote. There's a specific session on mixed reality, so I think you should go and attend it. I'm going to go and attend it. I don't know enough about mixed reality. Maybe it's going to be a thing, maybe it's not, but if it's taking such a core part of the keynote for this event, then I think it's definitely worth digging into and trying to understand why that is, and where those kind of changes inside Microsoft are coming from. So yeah, I thought it'd be interesting. Number 4, Microsoft Teams. So integrating your apps and processes. I think this is the developer session. Certainly for this day, for day 1, this looks like the closest thing I can find to an out-and-out Teams development session. And it seems to be covering just kind of the whole lot of pro development tools, also low-code, no-code, Power Platform type tools. I don't know how technical it's going to be, if I'm honest. It looks like it's going to be fairly high level, but it's often at these sort of sessions where you hear new stuff being announced, or stuff confirmed that you kind of heard was coming or you weren't sure about. Sessions like this are good for that, and there may also be a couple of roadmap slides at the end, which would be good as well. And then final thing I want to draw your attention to for today: Azure Communication Services. So we've heard a lot about Azure Communication Services. It's currently in preview. This is like a deep dive, and actually it's not on the schedule. This is a backpack only session. That's a key point, actually. Not all of the sessions are in the schedule. So you'll find them all in the session catalog, but some might not have times associated to them. If that's the case, you can still add them to your backpack. They're pre-records, so they'll become available at some point today probably. Then you can download them and watch them whenever you like. So that's really nice. I think maybe all sessions should be like that, but never mind. This one is called Accelerating Digital Customer Engagement with Azure Communication Services. It feels like a bit of a techie deep dive, which sounds interesting. There is actually a more high-level overview session on Azure Communication Services happening tomorrow. So this is kind of like a slightly backwards way of doing it, going for the deep dive first and then the overview tomorrow. But I'm really excited about Azure Communication Services, so I do want to dig into it today, and it's a backpack-only session, so I can watch it on demand whenever. So I'm going to try and make the most of that by doing that today. So those are my 5 things that I thought were interesting, I thought were worth kind of going and finding in the schedule builder. So that's the blog post I put out today. You can go and find it and read it for yourself if you want to at blog.thoughtstuff.co.uk. I suppose it's worth kind of mentioning how you kind of, if you're watching this for the first time and you're like, oh no, the keynote is in whatever it is, 2 hours time. How do I actually watch it? Where do I go? What do I do? How am I going to kind of get there? So the thing you need to remember is to go to ignite.microsoft.com. That's your kind of landing spot for everything that's happening, ignite.microsoft.com. When you get there, you'll need to sign in. If you haven't already done so, you need to register. I would register quite quickly if I were you now, because it's going to start really soon. So make sure you register. And then once you're registered, you can come up here to sessions and you can see the session catalog. Now this is everything. The keynote here, the things I've been talking about, the hybrid workplace. There's a whole bunch of other sessions in here. You can search for your sessions and you can go all the way through. Then you can either or add to your schedule, or you can save it to your backpack. And some things you can only save to your backpack. Like this one here, session is full. So you can only save it to your backpack. Your backpack is up here, and you'll then be able to watch these at any time. So your backpack is in here, and you can sort of see them all, blah, 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 blah. They're all in your backpack. And at some point, when all these are released, you'll be able to download the entire backpack in one go. So that's really cool. Some other things, if you've not been here before, go and check out digital swag at the bottom, because you can get yourself some digital swag, whether that's LinkedIn background images, Microsoft Teams backgrounds, some Twitter profile images, and some other things as well. There's an event badge you can get as well, just like a real event. So yeah, lots of things happening today, but we're most excited for the keynote, and then the kind of high-level Microsoft 365 keynote, and then digging into some of the detail about mixed reality, and a little bit about Azure Communication Services as well. So yep, all the fun starts in about 2 hours time, and so that's at 4:30 GMT. And so you can keep following me on Twitter if you want kind of blow by blow my thoughts as things get announced, but also keep an eye out on my YouTube channel, because I'm going to do some more videos like this. Keep an eye on the blogs, keep on the hashtag MSIgnite Twitter hashtag for all the news. And yeah, should be a lot of fun, this Ignite. I quite like it being condensed into a short period of time, because it keeps all the announcements coming. It keeps the energy high as well. So that's all good. All right, I think that's everything from me for now. I hope you enjoy your Microsoft